Benchmarks end higher for the second consecutive day. Broader markets outperform. Nifty IT surges 1.2% to end as the top sectoral gainer. Nomura expects Nifty to touch 24,260 by the end of 2024, says any short-term correction in Nifty will present as a buying opportunity. FIO's Ajay Sahai says that the Red Sea crisis has led the shipping costs to jump over six-fold for Indian firms, as shipping companies were forced to take the longer route via the Cape of Good Hope. Mobikwik files DRHP with SEBI for its IPO. The offering will have a fresh issue of up to 700 crore rupees and a pre-IPO placement worth 140 crore rupees. Gautam Adani takes over Mukesh Ambani to become the richest person in India with a net worth of $97.6 billion. Hello and welcome. You're watching The Reporter on NDTV Profit, a show where we bring you the latest updates on how the markets fared and the global and the national headlines. But before we move on to the show, my colleague Harsh joins us to give a quick wrap of the market. Take it away, Harsh.
Quick check on where markets closed this week, and we closed Friday 0.25% higher. Nothing to complain about at all, because that's exactly where we started the week, and we had an excellent month of December. So the first week of January not ending badly at all. We've closed above the 21,700 mark. So that's one positive. Also, when it comes to the Bank Nifty, largely flat in trade today, but otherwise a slight bit of decline we saw on the Bank Nifty for the week gone by. Let's quickly look at the heat map for today, and what we'll see as a trend playing out is you're seeing the likes of an Adani Ports, L&T, as well as some of the IT names really lead the pack in trade today. And when you're looking at the losers, you'll see banks, some bit of pharma, and you'll also see some bit of FMCG. The Nestle and the Britannia is really lagging the pack today. Also, in terms of the advanced decline, it was a bit of a spike in trade around the 230 odd mark, where we saw a reversal in advanced decline, but that also kind of flip-flopped between the red and the green, and largely we've seen the advanced decline ratio be at 1:1. We started off decently strong for the day, so that's one thing, but the recovery was a 100-point recovery from the bottom, and that's the positive I would really take away. Let's quickly have a look at the mid and the small cap indices. The Nifty mid cap came back largely in line with the Nifty 50, closing around 1/3% higher. The Nifty small cap pretty much through the day in the green, except a very brief period, up around 2/3%, and they've gained for the week gone by as well. Last off, sectoral indices. We saw green. No surprise except for Nifty IT, which was in the green. Nifty Auto, which was also in the red, was in the green. Nifty IT, despite up 1% today, is the top sectoral loser for the week. Nifty Realty is the top sectoral gainer. No surprises there. I won't bet my money on that. 1/3% higher on the Nifty Realty. Among the losers, you saw the likes of a Nifty PSU Bank, Nifty Bank being a bit of a drag. But other than that, the Nifty Pharma also among the losers.
That was Harsh with the market wrap, and quite an action-packed day. And ahead of the Q3 earnings, the Nifty IT rose during the day and also became the top sectoral gainer. But it was largely a big mixed bag for the barometer. And why such a mixed bag? For that, my colleague joins in with more details on this.
So thank you, Pragati, for that. So Nifty IT was the top sectoral gainer today, with Coforge, LTI Mindtree and TCS as the top gainers. But it was a mixed bag in a sense that the barometer had risen for 3 sessions during the week, but declined for 2 others. Now, this is coming just a week ahead of the IT earnings that kick off with TCS on December 11th. That is next week. So what are we getting the sense so far is that Q3 is likely to remain subdued, more of the same that we saw in the last 4 quarters, and 2024 picture is the key focus area. So when the companies rise to give their commentary for the upcoming year, what we're looking at is their comment on how 2024 will pan out, and what is the demand scenario that they're facing, especially demand because deal making is has some amount of pain. Discretionary deals are still largely absent. Pipelines are elongated. The pricing pressure has moved to the longer end, as so to speak. Profitability is also in question, as only a few margin levers are in play. Both Wipro and Infosys gave out wage hikes in the month of December. What else can they do to shore up their profitability? We'll get to know from the earnings. Pragati.
Sure. And since you're at it, why don't you help us understand that what is the sense that you're getting from analysts, especially on the Q3 earnings of the IT space, which are, I believe, due next week?
Yeah. So here as well, there is a mix. We can say it's also a mixed bag in this case. Some are positive on the sector, some are negative on the sector. So while Jeffries says that IT Pack is staring at its worst Q3 in the past decade, Nuvama expects the FY24 guidance to remain intact. The Nirmal Bang sees a slowdown to persist for all of 2024, which also matches up with Accenture's guidance of 2 to 5% growth in the fiscal ending August 31st. But BNP Paribas believes that Q3 is the bottom. From here, it will be only a flight for the IT Pack. Pragati.
Right, Tisha, thanks so much for those details. We'll come to you as soon as the earnings are out next week as well. More on the markets, and a big newsmaker during the day was Nomura's note. Now, Nomura expects Nifty to hit 24,260 by the end of 2024. It also gave a 12% returns during the year, and that's what Nomura said in its report. It also said that any short-term correction will present as a buying opportunity, and that's a Nifty 50 chart on the screen for our viewers to have a look at. Onto an update from the IPO space. Mobikwik has filed a DRHP for its IPO with SEBI. Now, the company plans to raise 700 crore rupees via a fresh issue of shares. My colleague joins in to tell us more on this.
Mobikwik has filed its draft red herring prospectus with the markets regulator for an initial public offering. Now, this time around, the IPO is much smaller than what it went for in 2021. In 2021, it was for about 1,900 crores. That was a 1,500 crore fresh issue and about a 400 crore rupee offer for sale. This time, it's a pure fresh issue that's only about 700 crores, so less than half of what it aimed to raise in 2021. It's aiming to raise its second time around, getting listed on the bourses. As details emerge from the DRHP, we also have what it will do with the proceeds from the IPO. So about 250 crores it will use to fund its financial services growth. About 135 crores it will use to fund its payment services growth, and another 135 crores it will be using to foray into data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and basically technology costs. About 70 crore rupees is also capex for its payment devices business. So your sound boxes, your POS devices, all of these new innovations that Mobikwik will be looking to foray into will be funded with these 70 crore rupees. In terms of a pre-IPO placement, there is a scope for about 140 crores there. So if that portion is completed, the fresh issue size will reduce further. We had earlier reported that they had passed a resolution to raise up to 880 crores from the IPO, but they have gone much lower than that as well.
That was the update on Mobikwik. Now we have an NDTV Profit exclusive for you. ONDC has been on our radar, and recently the Consumer Affairs Secretary Rohit Kumar Singh at a summit said that ONDC needs to address the issues pertaining to liability, as it is important for the customers to get satisfactory services. Now, sources told NDTV Profit that ONDC is working on an ODR, which is basically a system through which the customers can approach in case they are seeking aid. This ODR would be responsible for fact-based judgment after assessing the nature of complaint, buyer, seller, and other metrics that are involved. So far, ONDC has also onboarded 7 ODR service providers, which will go live on the platform very soon, and that's the confirmation that we are getting from our sources. Now, this also comes at a time when efforts are being made to understand the reasons for ONDC's slow takeoff. Our conversations with market participants reveal that a lack of definition of a for liability, and some basic standards is one of the key reasons. And among the second or another important reason for the lack or the slow takeoff of ONDC is the lack of trust for the platform, as the challenge lies in getting the buyers or the customers to shift on the platform. Well, that was the NDTV Profit exclusive for you. Moving on to another big update of the day. Billionaire Gautam Adani has taken over Mukesh Ambani to become the richest Indian. The surge in Adani's wealth was driven by a rise in the company's shares after the Supreme Court handed a clean chit to the Adani Group in the Hindenburg case earlier this week. Adani had a net worth of $97.6 billion as of 9:30 a.m. This, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, is what we have found. There's a standard disclaimer on your screens as well. NDTV is a subsidiary of AMG Media Networks Limited, which is an Adani Group company. Moving on, the Indian Navy's warship is moving closer to the hijacked cargo ship in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Somalia. Now, ship has 15 Indians on board, and NDTV's Kadambini Sharma joins in with the latest on this.
There is an ongoing hijacking attempt taking place in Arabian Sea. This is a ship, it's a bulk carrier. Its name is MV Leela Norfolk. Now, on 4th of January in the evening, there was a distress call sent out by this ship, and it was received by UK maritime trade operators, and they sent out messages. Now, the Indian warships whose presence have been stepped up in the Arabian Sea, they received this distress signal, and the ship inched close to this bulk carrier. An aircraft of Indian Navy, of the naval ship INS Chennai, it flew over Leela Norfolk this morning, on 5th morning, and it ascertained the safety of all the crew members, 15 of which are reportedly Indians, and they are reportedly safe. But the distress signal which had come was about 5 to 6 armed men having boarded the ship, and that is why the fear of hijacking. Now, the latest reports say that this ship is being moved towards Somalia coast, and that is why the doubt is that it might be a case of hijacking by Somali pirates. Indian warship INS Chennai is trying to tackle the situation. The situation is being monitored very closely. It is also in touch with all the other ships of different countries, the naval warships of different countries. It's coordinating with them for the safety of Leela Norfolk, and it is yet to be seen whether these 5 to 6 people who are trying to hijack the ship would be deboarded and the ship would be taken back into control of the crew as soon as possible. The situation is closely being monitored by Indian Navy and the ships in the area. There are 4 Indian Navy warships which are in the area for the specific purpose of safeguarding the ships which, the bulk carriers which traverse this area. So it is still an evolving situation, and it is being monitored very closely.
That was the latest update on the hijacked ship. It's time for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching The Reporter on NDTV Profit. Let's shift our focus to the FMCG space. Now, Dabur India has estimated that its revenue in the third quarter will grow mid to high in a single number. We have Sessa joining in with more updates on this.
Dabur India has come up with its Q3 business update. Now, it has said that it expects the revenue growth to be in the mid to high single digit. Now, this is against the backdrop of the persistent weakness in the rural demand, as well as price-led benefits have continued to fade. Now, growth in rural demand is still lagging urban growth, according to the company. However, it is still seeing early signs of revival in consumption. Now, cost-saving initiatives, easing inflation, as well as strong international performance helped the firm forecast a bigger gross margin expansion. Segment-wise, food and beverages is estimated to grow in high single digit. Home care and personal care division is expected to grow in mid single digit, and the healthcare business is expected to grow in low to mid single digit due to the delay in the onset of winter season. However, in terms of the margins, the operating profit is likely to grow slightly ahead of the revenue post growth as well as post growth in the year-on-year terms.
That was Sessa with updates on Dabur India. Now, in a crucial development that could impact the tax benefits of foreign investors in India, the Supreme Court of India has issued an interim stay on a Delhi High Court ruling. Now, the ruling pertains to the tax residency certificates, or TRC, which is a key document for foreign investors claiming tax advantages under the bilateral treaties between India and such countries like Mauritius, Singapore and the Netherlands. We have Varun joining in with more on this. Varun, what are you making of this entire thing?
Yeah, hi. So as you said, foreign investors might be staring at uncertainties with respect to claiming tax benefits under double taxation avoidance agreements, as the top court has issued a stay on a Delhi High Court ruling which held that a valid tax residency certificate is sufficient proof to claim a benefit under a DTAA. Now, a TRC is a document issued by a contracting state that indicates a taxpayer's residency. Last year, the Delhi High Court had reaffirmed the position that Indian tax authorities can't go behind a valid tax residency certificate to deny capital gains tax exemption as provided under the India-Singapore DTAA. Now, setting aside the reassessment proceedings against Blackstone Capital Partners Singapore, the High Court said that the revenue authorities cannot question the sanctity of a valid tax residency certificate. The High Court's decision came on the shoulders of various CBDT circulars, various legal pronouncements, press releases and legislative amendments as well. Now, although the top court's final verdict in this matter is still awaited, experts believe that the stay shall not only lead to uncertainty regarding tax outcomes that foreign stakeholders were assured of earlier, but it would also act against the circulars and legislative pronouncements that have reaffirmed that a tax residency certificate is a key document for treaty eligibility.
Thanks so much for bringing us those updates. Now, the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, in its draft tariff norms for FY25 and FY29, has raised the ROE on equity for new storage-based hydro projects, including pumped hydrogen as well. Now, this hike has come to 17% from the previous 16.5%. We have Vikas joining in with more on this.
Basically, we reported in the morning also that most of these power stocks have now started to perform well, especially because the incentives or the ROE for especially thermal power projects have been kept unchanged at 15.5%, whereas for storage-based hydropower projects or related projects, it has been increased to 17% from 16.5%. So this was not anticipated. Basically, the street anticipation was that this will be cut, the ROEs will be cut because it's an important component for tariff determination. So if it is cut, the tariffs would also come down. But that hasn't happened. On storage-based projects, it has been increased, because the government shift is also now moving towards green fuel based power generation. So that's going to kind of help or boost these kind of power projects. And for thermal also, government has shown the intent that now it wants to continue with these existing thermal power projects as well as focus on green power projects in coming years.
That was Vikas on the draft tariff norms. Now let's move on. The first ever edition of Khelo India Para Games were held in New Delhi. The week-long event showcased the remarkable potential of our para athletes across 7 para sports. As a part of the Samarth by Hyundai initiative, we take a look at this first ever national platform for our budding para athletes.
"22-year-old Mahesh is a footballer with cerebral palsy. Goalkeeper for the Manipur team, he's playing at the national level for the first time ever at the Khelo India Para Games. Barun, his teammate, also lives with cerebral palsy. He was just 10 when he gave up playing football because he was never included in any team. Now, 17 years later, he's representing his state at the Khelo India Para Games. Their win in this match is especially astounding because of the fact that the team was formed just about a month ago.
For the CP people, cerebral palsy people, this is the foundation for motivate them. If I select as an Indian team, I will do my best.
It's a huge push for persons with disability, because not just the 8 teams that are participating here, it's also about thousands of people who are watching it on television, who are getting aware that there is something called cerebral palsy, and there is something for persons with CP in the form of sports.
The Khelo India Para Games come off the back of some historic performance by India's para athletes at a series of international events. The national platform is helping create crucial awareness within the country. It is not only showcasing India's para athletes, but also catapulting young para sporting talent into the national stage.
Khelo India हमारे देश का खेल है. Khelo India is also a platform where all the senior athletes have been absorbed into the ecosystem. The new athletes coming from different parts of countries, they are personally meeting, having interaction, and even performing alongside Paralympic medalists. So that will give them that boost, that encouragement, that inspiration.
Devesh Ladani took up para powerlifting after his accident in 2014. During his recovery, he found the hope to make another beginning and started to go to the gym. It is that passion that saw him win a bronze medal at the Khelo India Para Games.
तो धीरे धीरे इसके अंदर इतना खुशी मिलने लग गई लाइफ से कि इसी को अपना एक पैशन बना लिया. हम भी जो खेल रहे हैं ना, हम ऐसे दिव्यांगों को दिखा रहे हैं कि वो भी कल खड़े हो जाए.
It is the celebration of this vast potential that the Khelo India Para Games have sought to unleash. And of course, the event also had plenty of star power on display. Gold medalist at the para archery matches. Who else but Sheetal Devi?
आज मैंने अपने देश में मेडल लिया है, तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा आज यहाँ पर जीतकर मेडल. बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हमारे जैसे बच्चे सब पार्टिसिपेट करें ऐसे नेशनल. आज जैसे खेलो इंडिया हुआ था, बहुत सारे बच्चे थे ऐसे, उन्होंने भी पार्टिसिपेट किया, तो मुझे उनको देखकर भी बहुत अच्छा लगा.
The ultimate goal of the Khelo India Para Games is to cultivate the spirit of sport in our young generation who are living with a disability. So the next time a child in a wheelchair dreams of playing a sport, they can shift their focus from how can I to how I can do.
That's all that we have for you on The Reporter. But for more fresh news and updates, please keep watching NDTV Profit.